Hey everyone, Swanda here. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to tell you that it has been such an interesting opportunity this last week. I hope you guys are surviving Mercury retrograde. I've been a practicing metaphysician for over 40 years, and I got to tell you, there's nothing like a good retrograde to put you in your place. You know what's coming. You take a deep breath, and you hope that it doesn't pick you up by your hair, shake you around, and toss you on the ground face first. But that's okay. We can but try. So today I want to talk about true spirituality not found in a good marketing ploy, a good slogan. What we need to do is really kind of commit to making our path, making our first steps, third steps, 50th, it doesn't matter. We just need to continue walking that path. So we're going to talk a little bit about finding that person that might be right for you, finding out how you want to make things happen and really kind of work at it. So without working at it. Before we get started, I'm going to clear the energy a little. I came in here kind of haphazard, I should say, and a little rushed. So if you're like me, let's take a moment. Bring it in. Close your eyes. Imagine that pure white light coming down. Breathe, relax. Get centered. Think about the information that you really want to hear today. Focus that so that it can come out and you can hear what you need to hear. Love my sound bowls. They really, really make me enjoy being on earth because I feel so light afterward. Now that we're ready to start, have you noticed the way that people have been marketing lately? I mean, there are slogans out there. I remember, and I bet I can say some of those, and you'll know exactly what product I'm talking about. Just do it. Melts in your mouth, not in your hands. Welcome, Brother Francis. Even the one that really makes me, to this day, just amazed that it's still around is the quicker picker-upper. We all know that belongs to Bounty. So these marketing slogans, these marketing ploys really hit home when people are trying to gather their wits and figure out how to make money. And it's no different in the spiritual world, working a spiritual path, because you still have to eat, you still have your bills to pay, you still have things that you need to get done, all the equipment that you have to have nowadays so that you can reach out and talk to your people. It can get kind of spendy and it can be overwhelming. Sometimes there's classes to take in technology, not to mention the ongoing practitioner always takes classes and continues to learn. They still buy books to read. They still listen to Gaia. They still listen to podcasts. They still listen because we're still trying to bring in more light for ourselves. So it's constantly an ongoing turn. So it's not that I'm not saying people shouldn't make money. What I'm saying is that you want to be with the people who are really beneficial to your path and that are going to be able to teach you and guide you and raise your light. Because guess what? In turn, you'll be able to guide them. You'll be able to share something like, if I do any good at all in this world, my students are starting to teach me. And that's when I know I've succeeded. When I came back to New Mexico, I was really confused. I've told this story many times, but I was really confused. Why was I back? And I knew I was writing metaphysics classes, but I didn't understand because I thought this was general knowledge. And they said, no, go see what's being taught. So I went to a store that I frequented and I looked on their bulletin board, and this guy was offering classes to remove your karma. He'd teach you how to remove your karma for $30. And he offered to remove your karma for $300. And I thought to myself, if you can remove my karma for $300, I'd pay you $3,000. But I know that this is an ongoing process. All of this is, we call karma, is not payback. It's a tool that we use to grow spiritually. It's conscious creation that we put into action to teach us not to do something or to do something. Kind of like my dogs yesterday. They were here in the center, and somebody goes by the window and both of them are, so I told both of them to stay, and only one stayed when the next person went by. She got cuddles and loves, and Max got a you lay down and stay. Mystic Max is always my favorite because he's so cuddly, but he likes to bark. And they had been on my last nerve. So what I'm trying to say is that, you have to get that energy, and you have to find that path, and you have to find those teachers. You have to, the instructor should be teaching you, and the student should be following. And I'm gonna hang on. If you can still see me, I better go get the booster. I'm finding out we've got a weak connection. Hang on. Here we go. Maybe this will make it better. Oh, if we can get it plugged in somewhere. We're working on it. So, we're back. Me and technology is always an interesting excursion, isn't it? I'm much better if you want to do a quiet, silent, guided meditation. Take you on a journey. You know what? I'm going to laugh because what the heck? Anyway, when he was saying this, I thought, how can he possibly be doing this and being his integrity? And I thought, well, maybe people didn't understand as much as I thought they did. So I talked to people, and it really blew me away because I found out a lot of people were out there. When I came back to Albuquerque, everybody was a channeling Reiki master aromatherapist. Let me break that down for you. And they took a channeling class, and they practiced a few times. And so they were ready to start channeling for other people at oftentimes very expensive prices. They hadn't been doing it for years. They'd been doing it for a couple months, and yay, With that being said, the information they were giving was not probably as accurate as it could have been had they followed their instructor, and their instructor held them to a standard where they had to test out before they started doing the readings, before they started doing the channelings. I even heard one channeler, it was really kind of rough. She talked about exactly what her friend had just written in a book about detoxing the body. And I had gotten this book because it had some really good recipes for a green smoothie that was really healthy and detoxing. And she channeled it as if it became from um, an archangel. And that kind of surprised me because it was almost verbatim what the book said. So when we get in fear and we're not really prepared to do the work, and our instructor sends us out to do the work saying, hey, you're ready to go out and read for other people, make some money, it can be problematic and it can put you on the spot because if you have if you don't understand the feeling that washes over you when you go in vibration, if you don't understand your spirit team coming forward, if you don't know what that feels like, you can't really do that kind of work. Now, as far as an aromatherapist is concerned here, you have to be somebody more than selling multi-level marketing to be a true aromatherapist. There's a whole certification program. It's not regulated, so a lot of people don't have a certification, but they're selling oils predicated on a pamphlet that they get, and they don't understand the contraindications that can happen. And those contraindications, if you've got a kidney issue, you may not even realize, and you're doing lemon, you can really crash your body. You can send yourself into a healing crisis. I can tell you that it becomes very difficult to get people on a program where they actually know what they're doing. It takes a lot of time and effort to learn these things. So when I go to a aromatherapist, I want them to be a true aromatherapist. Of course, I don't really use aromatherapy because I was around someone who kind of bathed in it and they put it on neatly on the body, and my body could not handle that much coming at me at one time. So I really flare up when it comes to aromatherapy. Essential oils, I have to be very, very cautious, and I have to dilute it. I have to dilute it, diffuse it. The other aspect was this is a Reiki master. I became a Reiki practitioner when I was a massage therapist, and this was years ago. Okay, I thought it was a great tool to add to my practice. My Reiki master said you have to practice on yourself, animals. You can even practice on the earth. You need to learn to feel the energy first. You don't get to just go out and touch people. You don't do that until you test. And you're going to have to do this for at least a year. And I was fine with that. I thought, that's logical. You have to learn to do what it is that you're doing. It took me a year or so to become a massage therapist. There was a lot of practice involved. There was a lot of time and learning and studying about the body that I had to do physiologically, anatomically. It's a very important aspect, the study that we're supposed to be doing. So when I took my second level, it was over a year and a half later. I wasn't in any rush. I took my second level, and I never worried about becoming a master because being a master didn't say I was going to make that much more money. In fact, a lot of times I didn't advertise doing Reiki because I had already been doing energy work prior to me even becoming a massage therapist. So studying and training really brought it all home. Having more tools in my toolbox was awesome. But just running out there flagrantly going, you can get levels 1 and 2 in the first weekend because the energies are so high and we know you're so pure that we want you to be able to do this too and make lots of money for yourself. Well, pretty much the only person you're making money for is the person who gave you the levels 1 and 2, because you're paying $1,000 for the weekend, and you're going to go out there and you're going to mess with somebody's energy, and you don't know enough to control your own energy, so you don't know if you're really kind of dumping your stuff into your client, nor do you realize if you're picking it up and keeping it and taking it home. these are healing crises just waiting to happen. So that's why I said, we really need to take a moment and really decide what path we want to take and not worry about a good marketing ploy. Always, we should study. We should study, and we should be with people that we can trust to give us information, to help us practice, to really put forth that effort into us to stand in their integrity. I'm as gullible as the next person, believe me. Somebody could and probably would have, had I had any money, sold me swampland in Florida. But, because our society right now is in such disarray, this guy that was offering to clear your karma, he was offering a placebo, a panacea to your duress. It's the epitome of disgusting to me when somebody does something like this, because that tells me that they're not standing in their integrity, they're not being ethical, and they're really not being grounded in their way that they want to communicate and everything that they want to do. And when we're our most vulnerable, that's when we're our most gullible. We want to be healed of the pain. Nobody likes to walk around with grief or a bad back or traumas suffered as a child from abuse. Nobody wants that, and nobody wants you to. But we do want to get you to the right practitioners. It's very karmic for somebody to teach somebody that it's okay to offer those panaceas, to offer those moments in which they go in and they see that stuff happening. And that's why this happens in the work in metaphysics so often, is because we're like the last resort for many people. Oftentimes they've gone through their counselors, they've gone through doctors, they've gone wherever they can go, and sometimes they're not able to get the relief that they need. So to have somebody kind of working a slogan instead of offering themselves in integrity can be problematic for this. And that's why people don't take metaphysics seriously. They just stop and they don't wait long enough for us to find the right practitioner. And it's very important that we find those right practitioners. The door is always open for people to come in and do and work and grow. The problem is that so many people don't, they find somebody who says they can be a cure-all. Thank you, Brother Francis. I know you've run into the same thing. I'll give you kind of an example. I had, when I was doing massage, I was new and I charged $25 an hour back then. And I referred a woman out to someone who referred her to 2 other practitioners. So there were 3 practitioners working on her. And one massage therapist had the cell phone in his ear and he's working on her while he's talking to somebody else. And this was her story, not mine. I didn't see this. But he said, "I can cure you." Well, any healer worth their salt says, "I can facilitate your healing, but it's up to you to manifest it. It's up to you to bring it in and utilize the healing. You heal you. All we are is the trigger, the door that kind of opens up. We can open up the body to make you more plausible and feasible for you to move when you've got a hitch and you're giddy up. But you have to do strength training. You have to eat right. You have to make sure your bed is situated right." So there's a lot that goes into healing the body, the mind, and the spirit. One of the things that is so hard is, how do we recognize these people that come in and kind of kick in gear and and take over what we're doing. Well, like I said, one of them was a way that is to go in and they can cure you immediately. You will be cured. Okay. Remember, we consciously create everything in our life. So that hitch in my giddy up, all on me. So the accident I had that dislocated C1, C2, on me. I created it, but that doesn't mean that I have to keep it. It means that I have to work with it. There's something there for me to work through so that I can bring it to its highest level of healing. And nobody can cure me. Only I can do that. Same as when somebody says, only I can read for you, or only I can connect you to a loved one. When it's only I, it kind of bothers me, because I will tell you, I have oftentimes been in a place where I couldn't read for somebody. I knew that I was not, and why take their money. So when I feel that, I tell people, I'm sorry, I'm not the reader for you. I'm just not. Let me refer you to this person or this person. For me to take your money is to be out of integrity with you, and I don't want that. And I've even told clients of mine, look, feel free. I'm not in the space that I need to be in to do any energy work. Please, here's some names. Pick one. Pick who you're drawn to, because your goal as the practitioner is to actually get that person to the person that can do the work. And if you can't do it, if it's not you, it's okay. Your client will respect you a lot better for that than they will an incomplete reading or healing and taking their money for it. So those are the things that are really difficult for us to understand. When they claim they are a master, when they've only taken a 3-week course or a weekend course, I'm a master on this, on that. We have a lot in our world to go to. We have a lot that I am still not a master. I am still a student. I still lay down that night going, what? Thank you. What did I learn? Thank you. Thank you. Get up in the morning. Please help me learn to my highest and best interest. Please help me get forward and be in my integrity. I'm still a student. And when we can admit that we're still students and that we're not this great, mighty person all the time, then we're not putting ourselves above anybody. We're more accessible. And that's what the true practitioner wants to be. They want to be accessible to you. They want you to come to them in comfort, not in awe. And a lot of times, your true practitioner is not charging astronomical fees. Okay. And if they do have a higher rate than normal, they'll do a sliding scale because they know you need it. Or sometimes they'll even read for you for free or heal you for free. It's really hard for us to do this work, and we know its value, but we also know that we want it accessible to everybody. But we still need to eat. We still need to pay our bills, rent, mortgage, whatever it is. We still have to bank our car payment, car insurance. We still have all the same bills everybody else does. And the fact that, we're oftentimes making less than minimum wage, that can be problematic. But we still do the work because we want to be of service. Now, that's when you've got a really good practitioner. The mastering philosophy is one of those ones that I had a real hard time. The word master, I'll give you another anecdote. A friend of mine told me, you need to change the names of your classes, because I call my classes Basic Philosophy of Metaphysics. She goes, nobody likes to be in the beginner's class. I said, okay. That made sense to me, but it was really hard for me because to me, it was like basic information. And she said, no. So I took my dilemma into spirit and I meditated on it. And I was like, what do I do here? You guys brought me back to Albuquerque to bring this information out. What do I do? And the title came to me, Mastering Metaphysics, Foundations and Principles. Okay, that covers both bases. We're mastering it. We're working on it. We're working. We're working toward being really good at something. And these are the foundations that create your learning. So when you learn those foundations and principles, there's no end to where you can take the knowledge. And that made sense to me. So that's what I did there. And that's how I kind of worked through that little level of understanding. I let people know up front that we should all be working on higher consciousness. And, when we are working toward that higher consciousness, we become more aware of how little we do know. So even if the classes that we come into, oftentimes they'll humble you because you know how little you know. Even when I give the classes, I get epiphanies from my students. I get epiphanies from spirit. There's always another layer to it. As soon as I get something from spirit, I give it right out, because to keep it's kind of not nice, because people are there for the knowledge. We're all there to grow. When I hear something brilliant from a student, if they give me a different viewpoint, I'm very quick to say thank you, because it's humbling. It's awesome when they can offer these things to us. There's other aspects of these things is the words that we use. Mindful. Well, when I was a kid, we called it paying attention. So everybody says mindful. I want to be mindful. I want to be in the moment now. Like I said, when I was a kid, it was called paying attention. Yeah, I had ADHD, so teachers had a real hard time with me because it was zoom. And it took me a long time through meditation to create that focus. And when I'm tired, it's still zoom, squirrel, skunk, this, that, the other. I know, skunks. If you're wondering why I said skunks, because my dog woke me up barking at skunks last night. So the point is that we use phrases. Another phrase that I hear used a lot is empath. Empathetic. Most people who have compassion are empathetic, but not everybody's an empath. An empath is somebody who actually feels the exact same thing as another person. So if I had this horrible migraine and an empath walked in the room, it would be like, oh. And they would be picking, and they'd look at me and say, do you have a headache? And if it's me, then they're able to shake it off. But sometimes an empath doesn't know if it's them or not. It's that hard. Is it me that's feeling this? Or is it you and I'm feeling this? So that's another one that gets kind of used a lot. Another one, I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday, and I'm writing my classes into book form. So I'm real excited to be doing this, because then that way everybody can get access and it'll be at a very reasonable rate. So I write Sea of Bliss. And she says, well, is that heaven? Is that because she's editing for me? She says, are you referring to heaven? Because I've not heard of Sea of Bliss. And I said, yes, it would be the same as Sea of Bliss, is same as heaven. And she says, well, maybe you want to qualify that for people who don't know what Sea of Bliss is. And I said, you're probably right. The reason that I went with Sea of Bliss is that's what I was taught it was. Heaven is the place that would be more aligned with going back to the etheric, where when we transition in this life, we go back into spirit. That's more what I consider heaven, even though I call it the etheric. So I have to be careful of the words that I use too, because the Sea of Bliss is where the massive amount of God source energy is. It's where the um, true source is. It's where we began. It's where we started from. And so, with that being said, those terminologies can often get confusing. And um, for me, I laugh because I'm kind of old school. I like to pay attention. I like to be focused. Focused means moment now, in the groove, in the moment. And so I work with that, and I forget that there are other words that people use. And I wondered why that was. And I realized, excuse me, I realized it was because the vibrations change. It's just like when I was a kid reading books, they were written grammatically correct. They weren't written the way we speak, they were written grammatically correct. And a good book today still is. And I have a problem with that. I think it's better if I'm to connect if it's written the way somebody talks, because I can connect to their emotions and their feelings and I can get the picture in my mind. But if it's got too many ain't nothing going on, or terms that are misuse of words, that kind of thing, it does tend to disrupt my reading. But it's the fact that the vibration has changed, so we don't read the same as we used to. We don't write the way we used to. If you read a book from the 60s, you're getting out your dictionary if you're 16. A lot of those words are what we call $25 words for a 5-cent definition. And we didn't realize that those things were paramount to our learning opportunity. Sorry, I'm still not quite on my feet, but the cough is getting better. So when we do these things, we have to bring forward, as a light worker, our highest energy without judgment. But we also have to make it understandable for somebody. But we also want to make sure that our classes get the best because people don't take a class that doesn't have something sounding fun in it. And I don't blame them, because we were in school with a lot of classes that didn't have much fun in it. So we want it to be uplifting. We want it to be engaging. We want to feel like we're going to learn something. And I remember going to a multi-level marketing, the only company, MLM company that I ever dealt with was a company, I don't know what they go by, Univera, Oasis. Anyway, they had this product called Ageless, which is where I started. It was a nutraceutical company, and I loved their products. But I went to their weekend, everybody gathers and they're going to put on a big show and they're going to get you pumped with lots of information. They had these keynote speakers, and man, you spent the entire weekend glued to your chair, back hurting, pencil going just like crazy, and working and working. And you swore you were going to remember exactly what those shorthand notes were. You got home, you were going to type them up. You got home, you still had laundry to do and work to get back to and all this other stuff. So you kind of forgot it for a couple of days. You go back and you went, what was that? What? I don't even remember what I wrote, because the energy shifted. The vibration went down because there wasn't 5,000 people in a big, huge room pumping you up about selling their product line. And I was dumbfounded. That was my first lesson in learning vibration is everything. That and the fact that when I was a bartender, I could change the mood at the bar according to the music that I put on. So if I was in a good mood and I wanted people to get laughing and talking, then I put on some wild music and everybody laughed and talked. If it started getting, I made sure no angry music came in so that people wouldn't get angry. If I wanted the place, I wanted it quiet because I just wanted a quiet day. I put on real slow. I filled up that jukebox with so many quarters and punched all the slow songs in so they'd come in and they'd relax. And so many people would be going, "Oh, I got to go home." It's like 6 o'clock. Whereas if the music was going, they were there till 8. So we can change the vibration according to music, according to our attitude, according to everything. And that's one of the things that really counts when we're in metaphysics is changing our vibration. I mean, if you really love someone, I mean, heartfelt, complete, unconditional love for somebody, you're going to be kind of you can empathetically step into their vibration. My son had an accident and I didn't know he had been injured, and I was getting ready to yell at him for coming in late. He was riding his bike and he had been injured the day before, spent the night at a friend's house, and he came in and he was covered in scabs. His face, his knuckles, his chain had broken, he'd gone right into a brick wall. And I immediately stepped into his pain and I felt it just rush through me and tears well up in my eyes. Just recently, my grandson had to give up his wrestling, something he's done for a long time. And I read his post, and because I love him so purely and divinely, I read his post about him giving up his wrestling, and tears welled up in my eyes because I felt his pain. I could feel how sad this was making him. That doesn't mean I'm an empath. That means that I'm empathetic to his plight because I love him. And I can empathetically step into his vibration. So, one of the things that I like to tell you guys is that the way to get some of this stuff moving through and doing a lot of changes for yourself is really setting down a good foundation in meditation. It's hard. Probably going to upsettle a few people here, but I'm going to ask you, don't always do guided meditations. Get to an instructor. Like we have Brother Francis here. He's amazing. He's been teaching meditation for a long time. If you ever sat in meditation with him, his energy just goes right into the meditation. He just lets go. Let's God. Let's go. Let's go. And he is right in there flowing. And he teaches you how to do it, but he gives you exercises that you need to do at home during the week. So taking the class isn't enough. You need a meditation instructor who will give you homework, give you exercises to do at home. When I'm in circle with mediumship, I give exercises for people to go home with. And these guys are all mediums. And they're in my circle. And I give exercises. And they come back and, they give me their experiences and we talk. It's important that we keep our work going. We don't want to do the same thing 4 weeks in a row. We want to build upon it. So you take it one step and you build upon it. And that's what a good meditation instructor does. They're going to teach you. They're not going to just sit there and say, okay, for $10, come into the studio, sit down in lotus, breathe deep, see the white light, relax, let go. Now here we go on a journey. Because that's not meditation, that's taking someone where they want you to go. And thank you, Brother Francis. You do, and Amber loves it. So the thing is that we have all these things that we need to understand is that a guided meditation, they're taking you on a journey. It's not a shamanic journey. It's not with a drum, or maybe it is. But even when a shamanic journey and they're drumming, they're holding that beat there, okay? And they take you in and then they shut up and they let you have your experience. In a guided meditation, you're kind of going in there and you're having your experience where they want you to go. Now see this. Breathe. There's a tree in front of you. Talk to the tree. See what the tree has to tell you. Are you listening to the tree? Breathe. Let go. Now put your hands on earth. I know I'm being silly, but it's true because I do both. I do guided meditation. But the point is that we really need to formulate a good deep meditation practice. And by doing that, we start owning our own power. And there are ways that we can do that by, you can even pick up books on meditation. William Howden wrote a great meditation book years ago. I don't know if I'm pretty sure it's still out there. Maybe you could get it off of, it was printed by somebody. I don't know. Anyway, it was written years ago. It got the best book award. I'm going to say it was in the 70s, maybe the 80s. Anyway, William or Bill Howden, Howden, wrote a really good book on meditation. So that gets you started going. It gets you engaged in that meditative practice. When we go into the silence, we have the opportunity to connect to our higher self and our spirit team, and that's what you need to do. Silence so that they can talk. Because if we're always talking or we're always thinking, what the guided meditation does is it gives the monkey mind something to play with. You're only going to get out so much information. And it's really important. Bye, Brother Francis. I'm glad you popped in for as long as you did. But when we do this, we have these great opportunities in which we learn. So you want that instructor that really teaches you. Really, really important to step into the silence, sit in the silence. Somebody told me one time, wow, you do really heavy meditation. I do. I do it while I'm pulling weeds too, because my mind lets go. And all I'm focusing on is working it. I don't have to, there's nothing, it's just me and the earth. So when we understand that we need to have that practice, it's 90% of the work, because you'll start stepping into your own intuition. A good meditation exercise for you, even if you repeatedly go to the same place. I know Michael J. Rhodes just gave a great awakening course on his website, and he gives inner exercises. He calls them inner exercises. Meditation, inner exercises. Meditation is silent, shut up, be quiet. He calls it inner exercises because you're actively engaged in the process. Okay, actively engaged in your healing, in your reality, and you're consciously creating at that moment. So that's another good avenue to go to. So when you're seeking a practitioner or a healer, a reader or a healer, a psychic medium, a healer, whoever you're seeking, I want you to do yourself a favor and say, please, or an instructor, especially a teacher, please guide me to the one who's going to bring to me the highest and best information for my spiritual growth, for my spiritual understanding. That's who you want to connect to. That's who you want to get to. You really want to find that one person that will bring forth a lot more help for you. And you don't want to just take any person just off the street. You want to make sure they're the right person for you. It's very important that we know that we have that option to tell people, yeah, maybe this one's not the right one, and let it be okay. I'm not always going to be the right person for everybody. Thank God. Because you imagine how overwhelming that would be? And remember, when you're looking for someone, you need to really kind of look at what's going on in their life. Now, there's a huge difference between using ceremonial herbs with a shaman and medicine man in the indigenous way, or just getting drunk with your friends to do a circle. Okay? Drinking, drugs lower your vibration. They change the way we view our aspects. They don't let us connect to each other. It's really intense and it's really not a good thing. So we need to look at who's offering us the information. Um, for example, when my son died, I couldn't teach a class. I couldn't do a reading. I couldn't do a healing. It took me 2 years to get back into healing. I could do readings before I could do healings, but it took me a couple of years before I was ready to actually do some hands-on energy work. And the reason is because my vibration wasn't right. The grief was so raw. It's hard for us to be humbled that far, but it's important for us to realize that when we're that far down, we need to take care of us first. So if you see someone who's doing energy work and they're drinking every night, yeah, you might want to look at that because their vibration could be pretty low. Look at the drama that they may bring to the table. Do they always have drama in their life? I get real frustrated and I'm very passionate, but I don't always have a lot of drama. Once I realize there's drama, I look to find the reason that I've got the drama. And then I go, oh, I got to move that person out of my life. Oh, I got to move that thought process out of my way. Oh, I'm letting my grief get in my way. Oh, wait, stop, listen, go into the silence. It's all a routine. And when you understand that, then it's okay. But if somebody doesn't understand that and it's a year long of drama perpetuously, I don't know, in perpetuity. There we go. I knew I'd get there. When we have that often denotes brokenness that we haven't healed. Okay. And it takes a while for us to bring that healing in. If you notice the practitioner is blaming other people for their drama, might be a problem. You need to really look and say, maybe they're not a good one to pick just right now. Maybe they'll be better next week. Everybody gets stuck in their own minutia. We do. It's human, and we're here to consciously raise our vibration. And sometimes we get stuck in the minutia, especially when family drama comes to the table. I can't even begin to tell you, it was really hard for me, when my niece died a few days after my son's death anniversary, and I'd helped raise her. And now I was stuck in family drama, and I hadn't been in family drama in years. And it was seeing my family the weekend of the funeral. It was like, wow, I've really changed because I'm not taking this personal anymore. I realized, it's not my thing, but it was still pretty, traumatic watching them create that issue for themselves. And it was painful. And it should be painful to watch people you love hurt themselves through drama. So you don't want your practitioners doing it. Now, I will tell you, there's a problem when your healer is having sex with their clients. There's a problem there. If they're being intimate with their client, that person should no longer be their client. It's called integrity. I've watched this on social media, and this is cringy. This is the ew, scrunchy, ugly face, cringy, ew. When somebody is telling about somebody's reading, like details of somebody's reading, your psychic medium should never be on social media talking about how they were talking to their friend about a reading they had just given and somebody overheard, and they put that person in their place because that person didn't believe in psychic mediums. First off, you should never, ever, 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 ever talk about somebody's readings, much less in public. Much less should you be doing it loudly enough people should hear. I mean, there were so many red flags all over that. It's like, and that's how you're getting clients. So I worry about people getting readings. If you're okay with a card draw, perfectly cool. But that person is not going and telling your business to other people. When you get on a live where they're doing tarot readings live and you ask a question, then that's fair game. But that reader will not, even if they pick up something ultra personal, go and tell everybody else who wasn't on that thread. They will tell you what you needed to know in the way that you needed to know it, and they will do so with integrity. I want to close out with a couple of things. When holding ceremony, is done with someone who has many years of experience. You don't want to just kind of fake the shamanic, like they go in and they have a little bit of shaman challenges. Like they just started becoming a shaman. They were a shaman for maybe 2 months, and they're doing ceremony. When studying with a medicine person and a shamanic person, it's a long study. It's a journey. And you want to make sure that that person is in their integrity. I'm going to say something that may be controversial, but I will tell you that there are all of us, no matter what culture you're from, because we're all of the human race, but we all have in our cultures shamanic traditions, healing traditions, medicine men and women from our villages, from where we came. The problem with white people is, and I'm white, I can say this, is that we left our country of origin. And when we came here, we incarnated to America here, or we immigrated. But that doesn't mean that I have a Scandinavian background and an Italian background. Believe me, they all had their psychics, they all had their healers, and they all had their, druids and Celtic ways, the Nordic ways. These are all very important for us to recognize and to honor. That it's not about race, it's about culture. And we should be respecting each culture's ways. If they're generous and they want to teach you their ways, consider yourself very lucky, because here in America, pretty much the Hispanic culture and the indigenous people have very strong teachings. Unfortunately, in the African American culture, some of their ways were ripped from them. And I say that and it chokes my throat, because the information that was lost to them, same as me for being white, the information lost from my culture. But it's about metaphysics now, and metaphysics is all inclusive of all cultures and all traditions in all ways. So remember to honor that and respect the people who offer us their traditions, because they're giving you their heart. They're giving you a healing that my God, it's just such a blessing. They're giving you a way to heal. So with that being said, we need to allow ourselves to be ready to absorb the information that we're ready to absorb. Call out for the teacher that's ready and able to teach you, who you can hear and who can hear you. We all make mistakes, and we shouldn't shame, blame, or belittle ourselves. So here's what I'm going to end with. I want you to promise me that today and every day from this moment on, you're going to say, I love me, and my life is getting better and better every day. And I love me, that allows me to love you. There's no room in hate. there's no room. It's just a small, tiny box, and it's filled with really stinky stuff. But with love, there's a whole level of opportunity, and the world opens up to you. So from my heart to yours, thank you for listening to me. I truly appreciate it. If you have any questions, just type them in the comments if you're watching this after. My heart to all of yours. Love you. Thanks. Have a great day.